To have this presentation for your own use, you may use the link below. This presentation will be over supporting instructional curriculum with technology integration. My name is Andrew Ashraft. I'm a teacher in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I work in a school system that services about 14,000 students. It is also known as the MSD of Wayne Township. In this presentation, two things before we start. One, I will just be reading the bullet points and some other thoughts that I didn't want to put onto slides. And then the second thing is that the bibliography is at the end of the slide that you'll be able to click here. It's an attachment to it, and it's another Google document, and you will be able to get what resources I use for the presentation. So why now and who cares? So why now? Well, recently, in less than a decade, 130% increase in spending, and that was in the late 1990s to 2004. So I'm sure there's still a gradual increase. And more locally in Indiana, 7 or 8 years ago, we had a 33% increase in spending in just 1 year, from 2004 to 2005, according to Edwig Research Center. And in 2011, President Obama requested from the U.S. Department of Education that $18.5 billion more be spent on accelerating the use of educational technology. And now, who cares? Well, more importantly, our students care. This iGeneration, according to Educational Leadership magazine, an issue called Teaching Screenagers, referred to the students that are coming into our schools as the iGeneration. And the iGeneration doesn't think of the World Wide Web as World Wide Web, but rather they think of it as whatever, whenever, and wherever. And if we want to be able to reach our students, we must be aware that our students care about this. And these are the things that go on in iGeneration's world. There are 15 or more things going on this site for people, students, to engage into and learn from. And so this alone is a very powerful slide, and could spend 10 minutes just talking about this. So the choices for a teacher. Well, there are 15 choices of the most popular according to a Cisco Systems study done recently in 2009. Some of the most popular ones: virtual learning, mobile devices, one-to-one ratio of computers to students, video games, and classroom response systems, and interactive whiteboards. So, all of this must mean that we must be able to deliver content more powerfully and efficiently. Well, unfortunately, that's not always the case, as you'll see. That there is that potential for higher levels of learning and more authentic learning, but we underestimate the critical need for system changes, and not just talking about systems as what we need to hardware the school, but system changes as for teachers preparing to teach our students that way. So this is a call to leaders. What type of system changes are needed to help teachers integrate technology into their instructional curriculum? So Alan November actually talks about this a little bit, and you can check him out at novemberlearning.com. And in order to power students with technology, we have to be empowered first. So before we can empower our students, we need to empower ourselves. And he talks about in the introduction of this book, rather than automating, we need to think about informating and thinking about how this can improve our work, how it can improve our relationships, and how we as teachers can imagine new things with the use of technology. And that should determine what type of technology we use in our classrooms. So, going back to the educational leadership issue, the teacher's first comment was, how can I find time to locate and organize all of these online resources? Now, I think this proves something really powerful about teachers. We are content driven. Any technology that a teacher uses has to provide deeper connection with the content, or else there is little purpose to use technology other than for engagement. And I've kind of tried to draw a shift here of what teachers may think of, or seasoned teachers, or even young teachers may think of as gaining knowledge, and what our students see as gaining knowledge now. Instead of books, we have apps. Instead of libraries, we have the App Store. And so there needs to be this gradual shift for teachers. Now, what does this mean? It means deeper content. And in another study done, there was demonstration from across the United States that once they used technology effectively, that teachers were better to have that more authentic relationship with students, and students were able to have a deeper understanding of content. So rather than just having, like an iceberg, 20% of the knowledge hit them, no, they get that deep impact into their brain, that 80% that we don't ever see. So, how can this be successful? What do teachers need most? Well, according to a study done in adult basic education, specifically focusing on technology integration, 3 things need to happen out of 5 out of 8 in a study in Connecticut said: training, routine technical support, and teacher motivation. So let's start with the first one, technology integration and what to do, our training. So this quote is from the manager of technology integration in a school that services 14,000 students, and he says that he tries to show the teachers why it's critical to their students' learning. That if teacher can see why, then their skills will be an afterthought. And this for me was an aha moment, that teachers need to know why, and then the skills they'll buy into putting in the work because they know it'll be valuable for their students. So, and a hope with the training is that it would be differentiated not by the skills they have, but by their understanding. And so, once they can know what it's for, then you can differentiate by who's using it for what, instead of what skills they know. Well, in the theory, the practice, is that you need to give them a lot of training and that one-to-one support in order for implementation to be effective and repeated. So not only do we need to tell our teachers why, but we also need to give them lots of routine training in order for the students to have a meaningful learning experience and the teachers not to feel like they're wasting their time. So, and that leads us right into tech support. So according to this person, who is a technology integration specialist in the same system that services 14,000 students, the 2 buzzwords were consistent and immediate feedback. That if he can't give them immediately and he can't do it consistently, then teachers are going to be frustrated, and then students are going to have a missed learning opportunity that they could have with that technology. So, what does it look like, immediate feedback with technology support? Well, it starts with large groups instruction as a good first step, and then from there you go to one-on-one differentiated instruction with other teachers, and then from there the hope is that you have instructional mentors in the building. And then continuing technology support and consistently doing it. So the ultimate goal is that after all this training is that they know a whole bunch. No, it's that they're using it throughout their day, and that it's an afterthought in their everyday thinking. Or not an afterthought, but it's part of their everyday thinking. So the third thing, motivation. Now this goes back to showing a teacher the rationale why. But when you are training teachers to use technology, it's good to be empathetic and provide personal encouragement. So, the motivation part goes back to what we talked about earlier with the training, and showing them where this is going to help a teacher instructionally and affect a student's learning, and how is this relevant. If a teacher can see why it's relevant, they're much likely to buy into it. So, and this goes back to it, training and technology support that is driven by relevancy and instructional improvements fosters intrinsic motivation. All in all, in the end, there needs to be a paradigm shift. Right now, teachers feel like they have to know how to use this resource, or else they are less likely to use it. Now, in the past, this may have been more acceptable or made more sense, but now in a more student-centered model, it makes less sense. This is difficult for teachers to understand and prevents them from implementing. And this is a direct quote from this manager of technology integration, and I had to put it as my last slide because I feel like he summed it up here. That teachers need to be doing this, and the reason they need to be doing this is because students are now learning on their own all the time. More so than when I, who's 25 years old, was learning. And it's going to keep developing and going this way. So any type of technology integration needs to happen not for us as teachers, but for our students.